guys. Welcome back for another awesome episode of the Pretend Podcast. I'm Gavin, and I'm joined once again by
Craig.
How's it going?
Well, it's good. Yeah, it took us a while to get here today. We had some technical difficulties, but here we are. We'll probably be slightly freaked out about whether we're actually recording
exactly.
for most of the
stuff. It sounds like we're constantly shifty-eyed and around. Shifty-eyed? Is that a
shifty-eyed is definitely a term.
Coming out strong in this.
That's right. We're inventing terms.
Looking at the technology, I have a black cloud of technology. I don't know why. Everything I touch turns to shit.
It's because Jesus hates you.
I pretty much agree. I knew God hated me, and then I guess Jesus is Lord, so maybe I guess that makes
specifically
sense.
Jesus.
I never really understood that, but Happy Easter!
Happy Easter!
This will be long gone by the time this comes out, but yeah, we've been the black cloud of that has soured my. Maybe because I didn't go to church on Easter. That's why
you should have.
I'll show him. I'll ruin all his technology.
Someone's called you
toys.
You said something about Easter. Almost called you a racist bastard.
That's
not right. You pagan bastard.
Well, why not? Let's just pile it on. But our theme this evening, good listeners, thank you so much for joining again, is guilty pleasures.
Yes, it is.
And man, do we have some good guilty pleasures to share with you this evening, I feel. In my heart, anyway. I guess that's the thing about a guilty pleasure is that you always feel really good about it. But the other person,
not as much. No, that's not cool.
And we were talking about this while we were waiting for our technology to join us in this party that we're trying to throw for everybody. We were like, well, what is, do we want to misquote guilty pleasure? Because everybody has their own idea of guilty pleasure. It's kind of become like, when you say, literally did this, like a lot of people are like, oh, it's my guilty pleasure band, they're called Nirvana, It's like that's not a guilty pleasure. I mean, you might feel weird for listening to something, but, a lot of times, we looked it up. We're like, well, what would be the textbook definition of guilty pleasure?
Right.
And according to something that you punch in initially on the internet, probably Google.
The Googles.
It says something such as a movie, which we cover, television program, which we cover, or a piece of music, which we cover, that one enjoys despite feeling that it is not generally held in high regard.
And I think we both assigned each other things with that definition in mind, even though we had not yet looked it up. And we did both separately look it up. We're both compulsive enough that we're like, I should make sure this really is
because it is like dangerous, because like we're saying, you don't want to, because something, it has to be, if it's defendable, it's almost not a guilty pleasure.
If you're just I love whatever.
I feel so dumb. I love Titanic.
Yes.
But it's like, you should fucking feel bad for liking that movie. But it is like the number one grossing movie in the world.
Like a lot of
people love it. So you can't really feel that bad for it. So, I mean, a lot of these that we tried were maybe kind of underdogs.
But you should feel bad for loving that movie.
Yeah, let's just make sure that's clear.
The best part of it is Billy Zane, and that's not good.
No, when the boat sinks.
That's right.
But let's tell these good people what's on the table of contents.
All right. I assigned Gavin 3 things, of course.
Stuck to 3, yeah.
Stuck to 3. Doc Savage novels.
Yes.
Mike and Mike, and
the podcast / radio show.
Yes, Mike and Mike on ESPN.
Not to be confused with the candy Mike and
not the Mike and Ike, and the movie Spice World, which is truly a guilty pleasure.
That'd be pretty much textbook.
Because I'm blushing a little bit right now.
Yeah, that's what they should be. Like ones that are a little bit bad, but And so I assigned along those same lines, like stuff from I noticed that mine were like very sentimental value. And now I guess we can dive into that more. I didn't even realize that going into it, like where I'm like, But mine were the Patty Duke Show, the TV show from, I think it ran from 63 to 1965. It was pretty much textbook sitcom, Patty
Yes.
Duke show, and we'll go into detail of that. The Search for Animal Chin, the skate video from 1987, featuring the Bones Brigade, which is held in high regards, but if you watch it, I think you should probably understand the guilty pleasure aspect. And finally, I was stumped because I wanted to do music, because everyone's got guilty pleasure music, and I kept thinking, like, fucking kind of like Phil Collins, even though he sold billions of records, he is pretty ridiculous, but he's an established, creditable author. I'll get into that. That was a slip, but musician and like albums though. But I never like sit down and just be like totally rocking out to like No Jackets Required. So I was like, shit. And then there's all these other albums that were like, well, I never fucking care about the whole album, just the select songs. And I was like, so I made Craig a 10-song mix. I kept it real short and sweet.
And it is sweet.
It's packed full of all kinds of awful songs that I can't deny for some reason. I don't know. And I don't even know a lot of these where the love comes from. Did you feel that way when you were like, yeah, fucking stand by this? Or was it kind of like, I don't know why I like this shit?
Yeah, they're like, when I really delve into it, it is hard to explain. Like, I know why I like Spice Girls. Specifically, because it's rooted in a very sentimental, like, specific moment in time. So but, like, Doc Savage novels. I just like because I like them. Like, I mean, I know I'm cognizant of the fact that they're just dumb and formulaic, but I like
didn't have any. Well, I guess just briefly of the idea. Like, do you have any like childhood attachments, or like was it something your dad? Like,
no. It was like later on in life, and I was just like kind of sort of like branching out and trying to like I grew up reading comics and stuff, and I read somewhere pulp novels were super awesome, and then sort of the predecessor to comic books, and I just like, I gotta read that. And then like the reprints from the 60s from Del Rey books, maybe Bantam books. I mean, like the covers are just super cool and they look awesome. Everything is the best part of the book. And I just like they're quick reads, and they're they don't fuck around. They just get right into crazy deaths and super adventure, and awesome. I just liked it.
Nice. Cool. Well, all right. Before we get into too much detail on these hot topics, we want to keep you glued to your.
You're glued.
You're glued. So we thought we'd kick it off maybe with Patty Duke, going back to, I guess not the oldest thing. I guess the Doc Savage probably dates that, but we'll just say Patty Duke. I don't know. I guess I'll kick it off by saying like my connection of cinema. No like personal attachment, but there was just like most old shows. I spent one weird summer where they were playing. It was like Nick at Night. Like really featured it one. It must have been like around 90. Think in 92, 93. I was trying to narrow it down when the hell this was, where this infatuation started. But it was like literally just every fucking night. Like I just got glued, and my brother would just kind of make fun of me for it. And I just started watching like one episode. I just kept watching it. It's just like a generic sitcom. The whole premise, if you're not aware, is this New York, Brooklyn girl, Patty Duke, and she has a family. And out of nowhere comes her identical cousin.
Scottish cousin, Kathy.
Kathy. Hey, I'm Kathy. She's very proper. The best theme song ever. I've technically covered it.
It completely just like lays out what's going to happen.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, sort of, actually. I have a comment on that.
So. Oh, yeah? Is there,
I just like... It's on YouTube. I mean, you can watch it on YouTube. So that's where I watched it. And, like, I just happened to click in, like, on season 2. So maybe I just missed it. Yeah. But, like, today, if you had an identical twin cousins...
Which is technically impossible.
Yeah.
just
in fact, it is. Yeah. If you had an identical twin cousins theme, like, every single episode would be able to, like... Are you? Oh, I'm really Kathy. No, I'm Patty.
Yeah.
And like none of the episodes of that. There was one episode where
it's very rare, actually. Yeah,
there was one episode where where Patty was afraid to go to the doctor and didn't want to get her flu shot or whatever it was, but she went, and Kathy went with her, and amazingly, Kathy accidentally got the shot, and then she got sick. So Patty felt fine for the house party where they were going to have a dance off,
of course,
and she had to be both Patty and Kathy.
Oh,
and there was just one of those episodes.
Yeah. How many did you watch?
At least 10.
Really?
Yeah,
wow. Shit. Awesome.
Yeah. So
that's because it was I didn't jot down how many seasons, but it was definitely. I mean, I guess maybe based on the years, it'd be just 2 or 4, maybe 4 seasons.
Maybe 4. Yeah.
But that's crazy because they didn't really.
That would be you set up that sort of. I mean, it's a situation comedy sitcom. You set up the situation to mine that situation for jokes and they do some of it, but for the Kathy, you almost never see her.
Yeah,
in some episodes, she's very little. She's a very little part of the show. Yeah. So it's interesting to me that they set that up and then kind of disregard it for the most part.
Yeah. It's impressive too. Just the technology of the split the scene somehow, because it was the same actress, of course, Patty Duke, who just passed away. It was one of the bigger losses of 2016 that didn't really, I feel get as much recognition. But she was older, so it's not as shocking. But she played both characters, of course, and that was her deal, where she played the wisecracking Brooklyn girl and the proper Kathy. And and it was always kind of the same formula in a sitcom-y way, where it was some event was happening, and usually Patty, the Brooklyn girl, would promise something and it wouldn't go through, and she had to make it happen. There was especially in the later seasons, I think once it took off a little bit more, they were always having celebrity guests and stuff.
The first one I watched had Sammy Davis Jr.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's awesome. Where she's always just I promise he'll be here, and then she's what's gonna happen? And she's got to pull some bullshit, and she's always trying to just work some miracle, and then in the course of the last scene something will happen, or and just Kathy's always that's a terrible idea.
That's a terrible idea. I could probably got some sort of real accent.
Yeah, I could never figure out what the fuck. I mean, she was cute. I knew it was some attraction level, but it wasn't I was just ogling this.
Yeah, she was
it was weird. Yeah,
super gorgeous.
I just couldn't really figure out what the fuck the attraction was, and I still don't even watching them. Just I get just mesmerized by this show for some reason, and Richard, her boyfriend.
Yeah, Eddie Applegate.
Yeah, has he been in other stuff?
He did. Yeah. He also, most of the folks in the show have died as of 2016, except for the younger brother.
Yeah, who's
that dude
character
looks like a perv now.
Hey.
We probably all will at that age. So.
Yeah. Papo, he hung in there a long time. He might actually still
into
be
his 80s or 90s.
I feel he died fairly recently.
Yeah, he died Patty Hearst.
Patty Hearst had a cameo. Probably everybody had a cameo at one point.
Patty Duke died, and Eddie Applegate died, and the dad died. All in the same year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, Richard was fucking great though. He's come on, Patty. He's always spitting at everybody. He's I want my punch pin back, Patty. He's like the human equivalent of Daffy Duck.
He's a weird looking dude.
Yeah. She gave him the poor run around there. Character. He was
my favorite episode was the one, and maybe you'll remember it, is where she wanted to start a babysitting service. And he roped him in somehow, and they go to an apartment building and they watch all these kids, And they told people he's a doctor, maybe. It's just crazy.
Just wackiness ensues, man.
A true sitcom.
It's pretty bad. I mean, but it is bad, but I don't know. Maybe it is defendable, and this is, so I don't even know if it should be guilty pleasure. I definitely have told people, and they're just like, Jesus, really? You watch that shit? So I don't know.
I
do you feel like
it. Yeah,
a good guilty pleasure? I don't know.
I would not.
I think any sitcom might fall in the guilty pleasure category too.
Yeah, they're all pretty dumb. But it's early enough that you get kind of the sense that a lot of the things that are happening that are dumb are sort of original. Sort of like, oh man, maybe this is the first time they did this.
Yeah, because it is having seen so many Three's Companies before, seeing that I'm kind of like, this is kind of, because it was the same deal where it's just everything falls apart. In the span of 20 minutes, but. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it definitely held up. They'd have few Hallmark movie reunions. Did you ever see any of those?
They did have, where everybody looks horrible and old.
Yeah, those are always kind of just watched them. I was like,
I want to see it, but I don't want to see it.
Yeah, like any reunion, I guess.
Yeah.
So did you have much Patty Duke show prior knowledge?
I remember Patty Duke being on in summers, home from school. And I don't know, for a while there, MTV was playing the Monkees, and I think it was around that same time where Patty Duke was on, and I was aware maybe it was Nick at Night.
Yeah, it was totally Nick at Night. Not MTV. I don't think they ever got cool enough to.
They were just it's awesome.
Fucking Patty Duke. That would have been great if they did. Yeah, I don't know why. I was trying to figure out if there was something cool on before it that I was just roped in until I just stumbled across it. I think it was just
this is for me.
I love this.
But it's no different than watching Gilligan's Island.
Yeah,
they're from about the same time. They're about the same quality. Yeah.
And I love that early 60s stuff that feels 50s. It's always that late carryover of a decade,
Right.
It's it feels like 50s when you're watching it, just because then I guess black and white. It was a black and white show. And it just totally felt more 50s, but if you follow the timeline of Mad Men kind of era stuff where it was TV was still a little dragging behind, shit was. And even by when it ended, I guess in 65, that's probably a reason why it ended, because people were trying to get away from that kind of oh, honey, hi. The dad comes home.
I'm home.
And, the mom's I've just been sitting here all day ready to cook for you.
We're going to have goblets of milk for dinner.
Yeah, so it's that Leave It to Beaver kind of syndrome for sure. But cool, man. So I don't know. I guess we'll move on from there. Patty Duke, God bless her.
God bless her.
She'll always be my Patty. But yeah, that theme song. Oh, did you see you had a problem with the theme song?
No.
Is there a continuity issue though, or
no? I just the theme song kind of makes promises that the show doesn't deliver on in the sense that they really never mind the we're identical twin cousins.
Just the fact that it doesn't make sense,
and I'm sure they do. I mean,
meaning that they don't play up their wackiness. Of
today, it would be every episode would be we look the same.
Yeah, and they're doing schemes and stuff.
Yeah, and in that, I mean, there was at least one episode I saw.
Yeah,
where
there's a bunch,
happened.
but not a ton. Yeah,
but it's not every episode. There are episodes like Patty is definitely the central character.
Yeah.
And she plays Kathy, and Kathy's in most episodes. But, sometimes she's just kind of there.
Did you have a preference between the two?
Good question. I think I prefer Patty.
Yeah. I think I have to go with a little wild Patty.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need Kathy to, set shit straight and be, a little, reassuring. But I kind of love them both. Maybe that was my weird hang-up.
Could they clone Patty Duke twice?
But maybe I could never decide. That was my problem. So I just constantly watched it. But where do we go from here? Spice Girls?
Let's go to Spice Girls. From one girl to another.
Oh, yeah. 1998. Boy, that was a weird time frame when you watch it in the context of the Spice World.
Did you watch the whole thing?
I did. I watched it in a very strange format, too, because I have a VCR. You had the VHS. I didn't want to buy it like on a digital.
The original VHS.
Yes, as it was meant to be seen. As Spice World was meant to be seen on VHS in a dark room by yourself.
With embarrassment.
But yeah, it was weird because I have like I have a VCR, but I don't have it hooked up to my actual TV, and I'd been like pulling files and shit from VHS tapes to my computer with this thing.
Because you're a crazy VHS nerd.
But for somehow it actually worked out better where I had the tape and I was pulling some stuff anyway, so I copied it. Or like I played it through the computer and watched it on the computer off of VHS. I don't know, but it worked.
It worked, so, and you got to see the wonder that is.
Yeah, Spice World. And sadly, backstory, somehow my brother, in my kind of Patty Duke infatuation, he loved the damn Spice Girls for some reason.
I know both, I've met both your brothers, I don't know them.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume that this was Owen.
You're correct, my friend. Of course. And yeah, he loves, anything British, so you throw five very British ladies into music or movie, and we went to go see this in the theater, actually.
Whoa, yeah. I did not do that.
We were fucking annihilated, drunk as shit, and it was at the mall theater that we used to go to as kids, and maybe the last movie we even saw in that theater, but we went, and I barely remember anything from the experience other than we went, and my brother was real happy that we all went to go see Spice Girls. We're doing it, man. We're watching Spice Girls. I was like, whatever, dude. And we watched, 1998, which is weird, because, I wasn't 21, but somehow we were watching Spice World and
just obliterated.
And that was your requirement of watching this too, that you should be drunk as shit. But
yes.
I mean, but it is a guilty pleasure, definition wise, because it is terrible. But at the same time,
and embarrassing. Because to be clear, I am not a fan of the Spice Girls or their music. I don't know the Spice Girls or the music. I am a fan specifically
just the movie.
Of the movie, yes.
Well, I think this needs some backstory. What pulled you in? Is this your guilty pleasure that you needed to share?
Guynita, my wife and I, we returned to college for the second time around the year 2000, so not long after the movie was made. And we went to a Christmas party at some friend's house, and they had the Spice Girls movie and Spice Girls video game for PlayStation 1. And we watched the movie, I think. I was pretty drunk, so I could be wrong. But we watched the movie, and we played the video game, and at the end of the night, all I really remember is having the best time ever and drinking eggnog out of a measuring cup.
Wow.
And I just loved it so much that I just now have this affinity for a movie with, what is it, 5 women? I don't know anything about them. I don't know their music at all.
Let's see, we got Baby, Sporty, Scary, Posh,
Flippy,
and Ginger.
Yeah,
I'm missing
Ginger, I feel like it's not in the spirit of the other names.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
And possibly the most popular one at the time.
Yeah, weird.
She was
I'm sure she's a lovely lady.
Yeah. But it was weird because the others are...
I think she had breast cancer.
Oh, really?
But she's doing okay.
Good.
I could be wrong about that.
There should never be anything bad happen to the Spice Girls.
No.
After their trip. No. I remember being definitely frightened by the Spice Girls in the sense that they were because late 90s was definitely the peak of my music snobbery age too, and coming out of high school into the rock world and wanting to be a musician and but it was weird because we were really guitar band heavy, you know, like not grungy, but we loved like Britpop too, and that was all late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember just seeing the Tell Me What You Want video. I'm just like, what the fuck? Because it was like really kind of 80s throwback too, like just because it was so like boy band, but like with like British
Not
ladies,
boys.
Yeah. Which does wonders apparently, because
Yes.
it was like, as far as the hatred factor, you know, you play like a Backstreet Boys like 5 seconds in, I'm just like, I hope they all just die of a horrible disease or something. Felt like Spice Girls and all like, boy, you're like, I'm like, oh, this is cool.
I don't like it yet.
Yeah, it's like, this is terrible, but I mean, it's cool. They're like superheroes. They all have like their own little thing.
That's right. It's great.
And yeah, so I mean, it was definitely like first approach is just like, what the fuck is this? But like, yeah, I mean,
it's weird. Like Meatloaf is in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, focusing on the movie, that's another hard thing. Like just to separate the music from it, because they're like a weird. I mean, it's just straight up pop, you know, and like the music, but the songs are catchy, guilty pleasures too. I mean, the songs like I was just like, I don't even remember. Like the first opening sequence of the movie was like one of those, like maybe I jotted it down, but it's one of the songs as soon as you hear it, you know. But it was like kind of a ballady one. It was like, you are my everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, that song fucking rules.
I love it.
It's like, I should learn that on guitar now. It's been long enough for this. Is a cool cover. I should cover this. And but yeah, it's just a weird ass movie in the sense that like they're being goofy with it, but it's like,
oh, there's a fucking like spaceship landing.
early in it too.
It's
and it's just like
weird.
they're like, ooh, where'd they go? We have to go pee, and they just like run into
the woods, and there's like aliens that they sign autographs or something. Richard E. Grant is in it.
Yeah,
he
good
was
cast.
Recently in Logan. Which is like super well received. I haven't seen it, so apparently it doesn't suck.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid cast.
Roger Moore.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're a big James Bond fan, you know,
Yes.
and like I'm a big Kids in the Hall fan. Mark McKinney is just randomly
in it.
doing nothing really funny,
Not
but just
really. Yeah.
And just that all I wrote next to that was like question marks and what the fuck. And mine, yours, I don't know. That was my notes.
Did you actually write what the fuck, or did you put a WTF? You put WTF.
Yes, I had
you texting bastard.
I know. I had to. I was saving room.
My paper's only so big.
But yeah, that was weird. I mean, Alan Cummings even is technically
Alan Cummings is
a creditable actor to a certain degree.
Oh,
but,
he's fantastic.
Meatloaf, you know, like
Meatloaf. I hate Meatloaf so much, but I still like the movie.
You're a little torn because he was like,
yes, like cool. My favorite thing about Rocky Horror Picture Show is that Meatloaf gets killed in it.
Yeah.
I just, I hate him. Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, or I hate it. Yeah. You know, I hate all the other ones.
And a bit low when he threw his like, he's like, I'll do anything,
but I won't do that.
Yeah, ding ding. God. And even that was only like 2 years old by that point.
It just makes you want to like bounce a battery off his forehead.
Yeah,
God,
it was weird.
I hate him, but I like how I hate him in the movie.
I also jotted like premise question mark. I don't know how to.
It starts out and it's like they're so popular that it's overwhelming,
right.
And then they're like reminiscing about when that wasn't the case, and they were just like down on their luck kids, which never happened.
With the pregnant Asian lady.
Yes, there's the pregnant Asian lady who's pregnant, and she's gonna have a kid, and then like the manager it's just exasperated, and there's like a sub manager.
Yeah.
Lady who I think was later in some Doctor Who, maybe she looks familiar.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird, convoluted. Like who's like like the dude with the pointy sideburns is like their manager.
Yeah,
but then there's like the whole it's like the whole plot. I basically was like, how do we make a movie out of the Spice Girls, right?
Yeah,
that's kind of what I took. Maybe I was reading too much.
Should I wear the little Gucci dress or the little Gucci dress?
Yeah, there's a lot of great gems in it, but I felt like maybe digging deeper too, they were trying to make like a wacky Beatles movie. Like, I never like really even got into the Beatles, like, you know, like Help and stuff, like the movies. And
you're right.
Like, so I probably should, because I felt like with the wacky just stuff like with their heads and stuff popping off, or what was it like? I jotted something that was like just crazy. Like raining in their office, dressing up for the photo shoot. There was like a whole long, just like these kind of like ridiculous thing, like with the UFO, and they meet the aliens, of course. But it like maybe that was like something to try to give it more validity, is that they were trying to just make it, it's like a Beatles movie, you know.
I assume like that they just tried to be ridiculous, and they go to like a boot camp experience at some point.
Yeah, like that seemed like some dumb shit that would be like funny in a Beatles movie, but it was just like, this isn't funny.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is this? It's like, I mean, you guys are attractive ladies, but I don't really give a shit to see in that many outfits in like an hour and a half, It was just like, so I don't know. Do you have a favorite spice? I know that's kind of the trait chauvinistic.
I don't
question. I don't want to boil it down to just looks.
Dude, if I had to choose a single spice,
not based on looks, I'm talking full personality.
That's right, and spice. All of their
glorious
goodness.
Wittiness.
If I absolutely had to choose just
or rank them even. Is that even worse? Is that shitty?
That is worse. That is shitty and worse. Okay,
what's your favorite?
Okay, I'm gonna say scary, ginger, baby, sporty posh.
Sporty, and then
posh is really annoying.
Yeah, posh is at the bottom. Not that I made a list already.
I mean, but I did. She'll make it. I would rather punch myself in the face. Like she's just annoying.
She's annoying. Doesn't really offer.
And
that
it's
much.
like, and this also like
she's kind of busted up looking too, and you really look at her. She's not really that attractive.
And then like the subsequent sort of married to David Beckham fashion icon. You're just like, ugh. You're just gross.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I feel kind of bad. Baby was my favorite. I'm like, am I just like creep?
You creepy weirdo.
And then Sporty is real cool just because she's so British.
And she's always wearing like big baggy tracksuit
she's
pants.
Like, my teeth are kind of fucked up, but I'm still cool. It's like, aw. And Scary. It's pretty just awesome.
She has a kid with Pluto Nash.
Who's that?
Eddie Murphy.
Oh.
Yeah, I couldn't think of it. Is it weird that I could think of Pluto Nash but not Eddie Murphy?
Never heard of it.
Yeah, she has a kid with Eddie Murphy.
I thought that was that Don Johnson show. What was that one where he was like wearing like purple jackets all the time?
Turd
Nash. Wasn't it something Nash?
Oh. Yes, it was.
He had like Cheech as his like partner. It was like trying to be like Miami Vice.
We could do a whole episode on Don Johnson.
Another rabbit hole. Can't go down there. But anyway, sorry for ranking the Spice Girls. I know that's like the worst thing you could probably do.
That's right. But people do.
Other than watch this movie.
It's legit. Yeah.
But I don't know. I enjoyed it though. It's definitely a train wreck.
When I watch it, I just think of like a very particular Christmas in about 2000 or 2001, and just having way too much eggnog and hanging out with friends.
I think that's
I love that.
A lot of guilty pleasures are built on just some great moment.
Yeah.
And even that, I was like, seeing it in the theater wasn't really that memorable of a moment for me in my heart, but I feel like this is the perfect, like, it takes me back to like those like wrapping up college years for me anyway, and like, and this was like the perfect movie. I remember like, I need to be writing this paper on a Sunday, but it would be on like HBO or something. Like you just end up watching the entire fucking Spice World. Like, oh fuck, I watched that whole movie and I'm still haven't done a single thing. So I don't know if that's a huge positive or not. But moving right along, what do you say? Let's do another Craig suggestion.
Okay.
Mike and Mike, the podcast?
Yes.
Is it all podcasts, or can you listen live?
No, it's a live ESPN radio show starring Mike Greenberg.
How do you
silent radio?
Silent radio.
That's
going to be my invention. I'm going to invent silent radio.
It's
satellite,
it's just,
or
no, like there's a local sports channel here. It's on the AM band, and you can just listen to it.
Cool.
I started listening to it. Just like they also, because it's ESPN and there's like 15 ESPNs,
right?
ESPNs. they just broadcast it, so it's just like them talking.
Yeah.
And I'm an insomniac, which I think we've touched on before. And so I would just wake up at, crappy, horrible times in the morning. And by the time 6 o'clock rolls around, I'm ready just to lay down and try to at least get some rest.
Yeah.
And that's when Mike and Mike comes on. So on ESPN2 or ESPN Sports or ESPN Deportes or whatever the hell it was, they would be on.
So it is a TV show too?
Yes, but it's literally like I think now there's more production value for TV. But when I was watching on TV, it was literally just one camera, they're sitting at microphones, that's it, and doing their thing. So it's Mike Greenberg, who is a professional sportscaster who went to Northwestern, and Mike Golick, who played 9 years in the NFL. And
he was a defensive lineman, right?
Yeah, he's a D tackle.
Oilers, Eagles,
for
Dolphins?
The Eagles. When he was with the Eagles, Reggie White was playing with them.
Yeah.
And I think they were like the number one defense in the league.
I had no prior knowledge of the show going into this, so it was cool. And I remember, like, Golick, I knew the name, had football cards, I was thinking, or something. I'm like, why do I know this guy? But then when I looked up his teams, because, like, my range of football knowledge, like, pretty much, like peters out around like 93, 94. Like I still kind of followed the Redskins, they're my family team back in Virginia, but like never really closely. It was always just to make my family
the Redskins
happy,
will disappoint you.
Yeah, magically I stopped caring around 93. But so yeah, I was just like, well, what the fuck? And I started digging around a little more, and it was Bob his brother.
Yes.
He was the dude. Played with the Browns and the Raiders, 89 and 92, which connects him to my Bo Jackson infatuation.
Yes.
So I think he was on the Raiders the same time as Bo.
I think he was a linebacker.
Yeah.
And
so I think he's
the
one
mullet.
I knew.
Later did some Saved by the Bell.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shit. So, although... this guy, was he? Mike, I guess. Mike.
Yeah.
He kind of won me over while I was listening, but Bob, I guess my heart truly lies with
he's the real goalie.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, it was interesting, and I guess I kind of feel like any podcast might be a guilty pleasure too.
Yeah,
kind of like sitcoms, or I'm like. Always like, oh, I found this new podcast, and I kind of want to tell my wife about it, but then you can't really like describe it because it's like and 2.5 hours.
Whoever you're trying to talk to, there's like
just people talking bullshit and
horrible.
there's
like
just like
this.
no, but so this strives to be somebody's guilty pleasure, but I was like just thinking, sports radio in general is something. Which is weird because I was a sporty kid, I guess, but I never really watched sports much.
Gavin did play sports.
Yeah, I was
a sportsman,
wrapped up in mostly just football. I poorly played some baseball and track and shit like that, but football. I was in it 7th grade all through high school. Decent, which is strange. I don't mind saying that because I don't care about it. So it was pretty good, actually.
I mean, until somebody decided to park a truck on you.
Yeah, then I got a car accident, and so senior year didn't get to finish the senior year. And it was funny because for about 10 years almost afterwards, I'd have these random dreams where you didn't finish your senior year. You can get one.
You've got eligibility. But I'm 30.
I was like, I don't want to play. I never really cared.
It really hurts.
And I was just like, but that would be pretty fucking funny. I'd have these random fucking. That would be so funny to have another one of those dreams. But I guess it's so far removed now that I just don't even care enough to. But I love. I guess because I played offensive lineman too, which is really weird. I was like a skinny fucking kid.
You're
a
not
noodle
6'2" to 6'6" and 400 pounds.
It says a lot about suburban white, I don't know, kids in Northern Virginia, but somehow but I was fast, and I played that and defensive end and linebacker, but it was fun, and I always liked playing sports, but it just couldn't watch it. Even then, I love the Redskins when they were doing good, and I love watching Bo Jackson for some reason.
He's the man.
It literally ended
incredible.
When he was done. I pretty much stopped giving a shit about watching sports because you never knew what was going to happen with that guy, and it made it fun. And there's been some players since then that like people would say, yeah, it's kind of that same thing, but I don't know. And even like in high school when I was playing, like I was in the thick of it, like it was always like, all right, the game's on, and my mom's like, I want to go to the mall, and I always knew she would like buy me a tape or something.
You're like,
it's like I'm gonna go hang out at the mall with my mom. I would always choose that over. I mean, it was just because it was, so much better than like just watching these long ass fucking games and stuff. But anyway, that's sports talk aside. My brothers and family all love it, and they listen to like tons of sports talk. So some of my prejudice towards sports radio is all just based on like, as soon as they start talking, I kind of just zone out, And I was a little afraid of this because I wasn't really sure what I was diving into, but I liked the podcast angle and was like, all right, so they do like what, like 4 maybe a week? A day, I mean.
They do, yeah, they do one each day of the week from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And then the podcast, they'll have like a best of Mike and Mike of those 4 hours a day once a week.
They wrap it all up kind of
right. And like really like the best of Mike and Mike is kind of the best way to consume it, I think, just because you just kind of get like the highlights and you don't get the sort of repetitious news.
And that's what I listened to for this. It was like a good hour and 40-minute episode, maybe 30, and like it was kind of the highlight of just one random week. And as I was telling Craig earlier, it was like tough because it was like all recent stuff, and I really don't give a fuck about college basketball. Yeah. I don't give a shit about NBA. You couldn't care about any basketball. Golf in particular. Really couldn't care. And this one actually ended up being more golf centered, but it ended up being kind of interesting.
Yeah, I did sort of assign it a bad
time. So it was just kind of like, I was hoping, because I initially picked this episode because it was the start, like opening day of baseball. Vaguely care about baseball, but not even really. But
I mean, at least your brother cares about baseball.
My brother cares, so it made me kind of care, and I just thought they might do like an overview. So that was like one takeaway initially on listening was like, they just like they're so like in it that it's like there's no backstory or anything. No. They're just like, bam, here we are. The owner is like doing this and this and
this.
Winkelstein is still on the DL and
fucking.
Like I'm like just it took me a minute. It was like the down low. He's on the down low. I'm like, oh no, wait, the disabled list. I forgot that was. It's like, is that politically correct even more?
That seems wrong.
Can they still call people on the disabled list? Should be the handy capable list.
Yes. the HCL.
It was like the designated lister list. I don't know, but like so yeah, they were in the shit, and I had to just like kind of sift through it. But it was cool because they do have a good rapport, and it was fun just to hear like
they're two very different guys, and that's what I think I ultimately like because I only have like I follow football sort of closely. And I have only like the most surface like passing interest in other sports.
Yeah.
But I like when it's good, those two are sort of riffing off each other, and it's interesting and it's funny, and without.
Do they tend to have conflicting views often, or
because like Greeny, which is what they call Mike Greenberg, is sort of like. Sort of portrayed as the nerd dork, whatever, and Golic as the jock, and it's I mean, they obviously played up those characters, but it's like I like their rapport. They're both smart guys, and they talk well together, and I mean that's the same reason you might be listening to this. Like you might not care at all about Mike and Mike.
I'm definitely the jock.
Yeah, you
Am
are.
I? That's terrible.
Did
you ever play sports?
I did not. Like, we moved around a lot when I was a kid, so there was not really a lot of opportunity necessarily to get like enrolled in something. And I'm also not at all athletically gifted. So
it's always so weird because you probably cared about it more than I did.
Yeah, but I think that's part of it. Like like fanhood of a sport really is. I mean, some of them are probably people who played. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of times I think it's just like it's like they're superheroes. I mean, like I can't do that. I can't. I will never be able to throw a ball 50 yards on a rope. And stuff like that, and it's impressive. And when you're the guy, even if you couldn't do it, but you were out there like slobber knocking the shit out of that guy. Like, you're like, well, I mean, but I can identify with it, you know?
Yeah, it was a weird thing. I mean, it's just for how breakfast clubby high school is and stuff, and I was just like never clicked with the, you know, I was always like what's with
you could have been such like the coolest.
I know, I should have fucking embraced it and just been like the jock dude.
Yeah,
you know,
man.
but you know, I can't. I'm all mumbly and shy and shit. And listen to The Cure and Morrissey and shit. Like I'm like muttering Morrissey lyrics during football practice. That's just not natural, man. It's just it's like,
you should write a letter to Morrissey.
Yeah, it's so weird. He'd be like, "Oh yes, you're around all those young boys. I totally know what you mean."
It was incredible.
It's like, no, it wasn't that either.
It wasn't. Not that.
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I'm just like clumsy. I think that's the only reason why I was even good at it. So my only naturally good gift is like running into people by accident. So I would just like, they'd tell me the plays and shit for like even linebacker by my last name, like, you gotta go in the 4-hole and then step to them. I'm like, what? They just say go, and I just went like Forrest Gump.
Run to the left, and then cut to the right.
Like just Forrest Gump shit, but like my gift was just like running in and like fucking running into somebody, and I'm like, boom. It was always like the sloppiest tackles too. Like I'd grab like this quarterback, I'd literally just spin them with their like jersey like in circles, and then I'd let go and he'd go flying and he'd go. Oh! And I was like, wow, that was like dorkiest sack ever. I shouldn't even get credit for that because I had like little noodle arms and shit.
I mastered the gangly sack.
Yeah, I was the gangly sack. Like, I just like fall in front of people and then they trip over me and that would be a tackle. It's crazy, but back to their show. Like, this was interesting because it was the best of episode. Their call-ins were like more like Skype interview kind of call, where it was like the commissioner of baseball,
right?
Which was weird because like from the podcasting perspective, I was like, oh, because I kind of hate hearing any call-ins, and theirs didn't necessarily sound technically better, right? Because they still sound like call-ins, but like call-ins, you're so used to hearing them in sports relation that it didn't bother me, like other than it was just being kind of like, yeah, man,
the answer to your question,
we lost the big game, but you know we're gonna try. We're gonna get out there next year. We got a lot of young sophomores coming up.
We're gonna hit some wood. Yeah. We're gonna buff some wood.
All of them have somebody like just stereotype. Well, we got a lot of returning, seniors and that failed.
So I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be in contention next year.
God willing, we'll just put it out there.
That's right. We're just going to go out there. We're going to put it all on the field. We're going to pick it up. We're going to strip the Rockets down.
Fight it back. Those boys gave it everything. They gave heart. They gave grit. They gave
heart and grit.
They hearts, guts. Grit.
Some sort of fecal matter came out.
It's like, good God, man.
Fucking awesome, man.
They're just playing a fucking game, man.
They probably shouldn't shit themselves.
Paid like $16 million to play a game. Everyone's okay. Don't worry. But yeah, so call-ins were kind of weird and cool, but I don't know.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Why do you think them, though, as far as going back to the guilty pleasure thing? Do you have other sports people that you're just like, oh, this is fucking terrible?
Most of them, yeah. Like the show that immediately follows them is the Dan Le Batard show.
There you go. It's all in the name.
Yeah, and it just makes me nuts. Like it's just like so many of those shows, whether it's a podcast or a radio broadcast or whatever it is. It's like it's all about kind of the rapport and whether you individually connect with those people. And like Dan Le Batard is like a smarter, more successful, whatever guy than me. I just cannot fucking stand listening to that douche fucking talk. It just makes me nuts.
Yeah, the smarmy factor is huge, especially like radio and podcasting, like all of it. Like they can be like so on target, but if it's just some dude's like, well, let me tell you about the fucking thing.
I know everything. I'm cool.
And it's just like, and it's just kind of my ultimate goal. I mean, of doing anything that's out there in the world, like whether it be music or podcasting or any videos or anything, or it's just like, as long as it's just not ultimately so smarmy that somebody's like, fuck this dude. I'm sure they're saying that, but like not like a Like, let me tell you about the 3.
I know all about.
All right, I've analyzed the 3 guilty pleasures. I'm going to put it to you this way. It's just like, shut
These are definitive.
And there's
guilty.
a lot of that with sports radio.
Yeah. Like, a lot of it is just like you have to like stake your ground in some sort of polarizing opinion, and then just like yell at people, and that's just fucking annoying. But there's a little bit of that with Mike and Mike, but I just like it. I just, for the most part, there's less of that, and I like their rapport. I just like, and I am generally in a very small way interested in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because I never played.
Nothing to be ashamed of.
Yeah, right. And like I enjoy it. I enjoy listening to it, but it's like a guilty pleasure, like a real guilty pleasure in a sense. Like if you and I were going somewhere, that would probably be on the car radio, and I would immediately turn it off. I'm just like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, that is the bottom line of guilty pleasures. The thing is that if you're like around people and you're like, yeah, sorry, and you just start to gradually turn it off.
I would feel the same way.
But I mean, I think that's very common. A lot of people listen to sports radio.
Yeah. I mean, and around here, like we only get so many stations,
so.
Thanks to the mountains.
Yeah.
Fucking nature in the way.
Beautiful fucking mountains screwing up my radio. Yeah, well, shit. I guess before we move on, I was curious, your sports then, because the Panthers are a fairly new football team. Who were your favorites growing up?
I did not really have favorites growing up because, like, my dad will watch sports, but it's more college sports, and it's more just like watching the sport for the sake of watching sports. So he's not like a big fan of a particular team.
You never invested in anyone?
Yeah, never. And it wasn't until it was like around 1997 or so.
Close to Spice World.
Close to Spice World, 97, 98. I just gotten married, and I was out of college, and I was working at a frame shop. And that job, it was a salaried job, which in that job was just sort of like, well, that's just an excuse for you to make really shitty money and have to work all of the extra hours. That was lesson 1 in how shitty it is to fucking work for somebody else. Not that I have bitterness about that. So, and I would just like bring in this little tiny TV we had and hook it up and work like a whole entire day on a Saturday when the shop was closed, and the Panthers would be on. Like I could only get like 3 channels, and the Panthers would be on. At that time, Steve Bergwijn was the quarterback.
Yeah, so like the Panthers kind of kicked it off.
And I was just like, well, this is kind of fun to watch. You don't know what's going to happen. It was maybe 98 because it was Peyton Manning's rookie year, and he was just getting the shit kicked out of him every week, and the team sucked, and I just, between the Panthers were always on because they were the local team. Yeah. And the frame shop was in Huntersville, North Carolina. And there was a lot of Indianapolis games on other times because Peyton Manning was like a big deal and he was going to be the greatest quarterback ever, which more or less maybe he became. So, it was around then. And I just kind of enjoyed watching it, for the sake of, it's like it's true reality television. Like you don't know what the outcome's going to be, and it's hopefully not manipulated. So I wish they just cut it down a little somehow. I guess it always seemed long watching football games, but like, god damn, it seems, maybe just because I'm a Redskins fan, those games seem so long. It's just like I'm watching hours.
I don't know if it's the commercials or it's just like,
it's fun to watch with somebody else if you're like having a good time and having some drinks and doing other stuff. That way to me. I
can't imagine, because I mean, those years as a kid where I would just lock in and it just passed like a movie, but like, I was like, was it different then, or did I just not have anything
or maybe
on?
It's like, like if they're just doing really well and you kind of be into it.
When you're just not watching them fucking turn the ball over every but anyway,
damn you, Kirk Cousins.
Moving on from those guys, let's see, So what do we got? Maybe the other sporty angle from my childhood, not football, but skateboarding. The Bones Brigade. Yeah, I loved skateboarding. Very small window, technically, from about like 5th grade through, I think I was technically done by like freshman year of high school, because I hung out with my older brother and older friends, and they all got cars and just stopped giving a shit.
No damn skateboard.
I was the last of the gang to die from skateboarding, and and it was just kind of sad because I kind of wanted to keep it going, and I loved it, and like had such fond memories of like childhood with skateboarding, and getting my first board was the Mike McGill and the Bones Brigade, or heroes. They're right up there with Bo Jackson, and you know, I was considering.
So was Mike McGill
sport.
Like your favorite?
He was my favorite, and it was a lot of it was kind of like the Beatles in a sense that we had like a group of about 5 kids on our street at the most, and like we all kind of picked one. I think I just loved that skull with the snake, man.
Yeah.
It's like his graphics, or the graphics of the old boards were so cool.
I mean, that's what sold it, yeah.
And it was a weird time because like that movie that I presented to Craig for this experiment, it's a skate video. It wasn't the first from Bones Brigade. Pal Peralta was the company that put them out, and Stacy Peralta directed it, but it was like the first deal where they're kind of trying to market them more, and they were trying to make more of a storyline.
Yeah, there was actual plot.
So Search for Animal Chin, and I think it was like the 3rd Bones Brigade video, technically. First one, but I mean, they were usually just them fucking around in a parking lot somewhere, and then like they're all like, let's make a movie somehow, and it's like it's ridiculous.
Yes, you should do that.
Because, you know, while the Bones Brigade is definitely not a guilty pleasure, talented fuckers that like put skateboarding on the map, and all those guys are like amazing, but this film in general is just like basically the equivalent of a porno, but you replace all the sex with skateboarding.
It's just like, hey, let's find Animal Chin. Oh, here's a cool place to skate. Let's find Animal Chin. Oh, here's a cool place to skate.
It's all, like they're all just sitting around like, it's like, hey, you got a map, man? Yeah, here, Animal Chin's over here. Oh, awesome, bro. Check it out. They're just like,
we should have some dinner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat a banana.
There's some weird ass like food scenes, and when they go to the hotel and they're all just like laying around in bed together, doing their skate aerobics, and it's just like, wow, this is totally awesome, but really tough, you know, to sit through probably for a non-skateboarding fan. So I do apologize, but I feel like that's the part of guilty pleasure. Did you have any prior knowledge of the Bones Brigade?
I did know the Bones Brigade and most of the guys in it, and
I'm sure you've heard of Tony Hawk.
Of course, yeah. I made the mistake. Gavin gave me a copy of Bones Brigade, an autobiography, and Animal Chin.
Oh, it was both on there.
Yeah.
Shit.
Did you not know that?
No, sorry.
Well, there you go.
Did you watch the whole biography?
Yes, we watched the whole autobiography first. And Shan, my Ganita, watched it with me, my wife. And it was like that part was actually
it's way better.
Compelling. Yeah,
all crying and shit.
Yeah, like because I can distinctly remember being a kid, and I'm about between 5 and 10 years younger than, say, Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
And because those guys are probably about 50 or so now.
Yeah.
And I can distinctly remember as a kid just being like, man, those fucking dudes are so goddamn cool. And they've just got everything, and they're just, skateboarding for a living. It's fucking awesome. And all that shit's true. But then you watch the autobiography, and it's just like you
heavy,
see it,
man.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, and they have perfectly good lives now, and they're all, it's not like the tragedy where one of them killed themselves or end up like strung out on heroin or anything. And so that's great.
A lot of those guys did, like the people that weren't in Bones Brigade, like the Vision dudes, end up in jail and shit. And there's some tragic stories of a lot of those guys.
And like even the guys in Bones Brigade, it's like like a lot of them. It's almost like having that kind of passion for something, and the willpower to follow through stems from some sort of dark place. Caballero Caballero, like his dad left when he was 11. Tony Hawk, his dad was around, but everybody's fucking dogging on him all the time.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mullen.
Yeah.
I mean, where he's just like, I mean, I think at one point
and he's like,
maybe I'm autistic. Like, it's like not even diagnosed or anything. It's just like, but there was something different about me, and that he's gotten to the point where he is, black tooth and all, I mean, where he can say that and he's okay and he's done things he's done, I mean, is just a triumph. I mean, like, you can't. Dudes. Yeah, I mean,
Lance Mountain, he was like kind of the Ringo of the crew.
Yeah, where they're just like, and he's just like, and like, it's sad, especially in Lance Mountain's case, because it's like, I mean, I know the name Lance Mountain, and I was never a skateboarder really at all, and like so many people look up to that dude, and he's 50 years old, and he's like, he's essentially just like. Yeah, I was just like the leftover crap, and like like you were still better than like almost everybody. Like maybe you were the worst of the best, but
Brigade,
you were still in the best.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, whatever. And that part of it was like I made the mistake of watching the autobiography before Animal Chin. And we sat through the autobiography, and like it was interesting, like because they were. The dude Caballero, he reminds me a lot of Bradley.
Yeah, he's got scoliosis.
He's got like a lot of Bradley characteristics. And, hopefully one day Bradley will join us on a podcast and you can hear
be a skateboarding legend.
Be a skateboarding legend, or a drinking legend. Whatever. So I got a little like. Not really upset, but like kind of misty. I mean, you get to a certain age and you realize, like, the secret to life is everybody's family's kind of fucked up.
Yeah,
and it's just kind of how you deal with that. I mean, like
especially the way that those guys harnessed it too, like in something that seems ridiculous now. It's like, skateboarding, it's a cool sport, and everyone's done. But like, no, like. Everyone was so anti it back in those days. I mean, like, you're just some little punk or whatever, just dicking around on a skateboard. But I mean, they've really made it a sport. Just like that crew.
Like they are responsible for it being legitimate. Yeah,
and it's crazy. Just, I love it. It's such a weird Cinderella tale,
I mean, it's so interesting. And like the sort of generational quality of it, of like, Stacy being from the 70s and then the 80s, and then subsequently like having seen the 90s and stuff unfold with like later skate movies like Shit and stuff like that, where you just like it just kind of progresses to a certain thing. I mean, it's just we both know Chris Weatherford, and he's like one of those fucking dicks who's just like he's like pretty good at everything, and he skateboarded and stuff. Like when I knew him, he was a skateboarder, and or when I first met him, he was a skateboarder, and he loved those guys.
I feel like we've talked some Bones Brigade.
Right. And it's like those, and he's another one of those guys. Like, I mean, he's totally with it. He's got 3 grown kids, and he's taking care of them, and he's a social worker and all that stuff. But I mean, like, more than most people, like, he just carries stuff around, and it's just,
it takes something, man. We were just recently out in California, and they had, like, we stayed right at Venice Beach, and there's a skate park there, and just, like, seeing that kind of rekindled my love for it all, where it was just, like, seeing these kids. You
should build a half pipe.
Yeah. I mean, like, I was almost dumb enough to, like, have that, like, passion. When I came back, I was like, I want to fucking do that again. I was like, my old fat ass would bust. So
break my neck.
Just like before I saw my hand off making the half pipe even. But I mean, it was just like, just seeing it and like seeing these little rubber kids just flying through the fucking air and shit. I'm just like, oh my god, this is possible, And it's like, it's just so amazing. Like, just it's a fucking weird thing. Like, just like hauling ass on this like little board and like. And like, I'm not a dude. I don't even like to drive over like 45 miles an hour at this point. And I was just like, Good God, I mean, I used to do that, though, where I'd just be like, whatever, dude. He's just, like, fucking launching over something. And, I mean, I was never, like, exceptional at skateboarding by any means, but it was, like, I'd still just kind of fucking tear into some drop-in. That was kind of like my rebirth in the 2000s, like, so after a bad breakup and shit, and I'm like, oh, whatever. They opened those van skate parks, because they never had any of that shit when I was a kid around the Bones Brigade era there, and, like, fucking just drop it. Like, ribs are all cracked.
You're like, oh, I'm fine.
Oh, that was the worst idea I've ever had.
I was so glad she broke up with me.
It's like, I don't care. I couldn't feel any more pain than when I felt more pain.
No, that's worse.
This is worse than a breakup. I can't breathe. Yeah. But as far as the actual movie, did you make it the Johnny Rad and all that stuff?
I got about... I'm pulling the cord.
That's
Sorry.
right.
I got about halfway through Animal Chin. That was my mistake. Like I watched the autobiography first.
Yeah, I forgot that was on the same
And when
disc.
I started watching Animal Chin, I was just like, oh, fuck. This is just
like now
ridiculous.
This is really guilty.
Yeah,
why do you send me this
is hard
sappy
to sit through.
documentary about all these people crying about
That's it. Yeah, like we watched it. It's not like a short documentary. It's like
that thing's like almost 2 hours long, I think. Like, like Animal Chin's like barely an hour, an hour. I think.
We watched I got through where they're like skating through like drainage gullies and shit looking for Animal Chin. And I was like, I gotta go to fucking bed. And Shannon Ganita, she was just like, I never gave a shit about this, so I'm good. Let's just go to bed. Yeah.
Well, the big payoff is they never find him because Animal Chin is in your heart, man.
Oh, he is in your heart.
As long as you're having a good time, you found Animal Chin.
You found Animal Chin. Wonton.
Dong dong.
Ding ding. Animal Chin.
Slightly racist Animal Chin.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
You're like, that's not a person. And it's like some white piece of crap named Craig who's playing Animal Chin.
Yeah, just coasting by on a longboard.
It's like, hey, bro.
Yeah, some weird shit in that. But yeah, they find like this ultimate ramp at the end. It's like you open it up and it's like it's like Animal Chin just created this so you could like find him in your heart.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's some deep meaning. They're eating marshmallows at the end. They like freeze frames. They're like, yay! Like licking marshmallows off each other. It's like, this isn't gay. Everything's so.
It's cool if we eat marshmallows off each other's pecs. That's normal and cool.
So, there you go.
Doc Savage pulp novel reprints.
Since I found Animal Chin in my heart, I unaged 20 years. So I'm just a little boy over here reading some Doc Savage.
And it is incredible.
Oh, yes. And again, no prior knowledge. Maybe other than like being really confused of where to shelve this at Mr. K's. I think I had I'm like, is this like action? I think we had like a really small like action books section.
Yes. Yeah, sort of like the Destroyer.
Yeah, that was like the first shit to like get wiped from my memory as an unemployee of Mr. K's used books and CDs in Asheville. Check it out.
Check it out. It's a great place to shop.
But Doc Savage, and I was like kind of torn because I was just determined to figure out like who wrote this, and you cleared that up. I was like,
yes,
what's up? Because it says like, what's his name? Something.
It is the books are credited to Kenneth Robeson.
Yeah.
And
then I like that was like Lester Dent.
Lester Dent
He's
is
like
the actual creator and writer. So Kenneth
Lester Dent's actually kind of a better name.
It is, right? Kenneth Robeson was sort of like the Street and Smith sort of house name so that they could just rotate in another ghostwriter at some point in time. But Lester Dent created Doc Savage. And wrote like 100 plus
magazines, like in the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, they would come out as sort of like magazines with like a few illustrations, but not many, and print editions of these stories.
And was that where all the novels were taken from, or did he just become novels at some point?
Like that's where all the novels were taken. They were So
by the time like these, like the ones with the Bantam, is that?
Yeah, Bantam books, and I think he sort of had like a resurgence of popularity at that time.
But they didn't write any new ones for that. It was all just...
no, then subsequently there have been new ones.
Right.
Let's see. The Man of Bronze, copyright 1933. Copyright renewed 1961.
Okay.
So they, like, what
2
I
years
enjoy...
after James Dean was born.
Yes.
That's how I chart things.
Like, it's like
post James
pre
Dean.
and post JD.
AJD.
AJD.
Okay.
So Doc Savage and other pulp novels, The Shadow, and many, many others.
Okay, so they all fall in that category.
Yeah.
So I was always a little unclear on the pulp novel.
Pulp novels were sort of like very quickly written, formulaic adventure stories that were serialized sometimes in magazine format. And they proceeded, so 33 for Doc Savage.
Yeah.
Comics really started to come into prominence closer to 1940. And like these are sort of the forerunners of superheroes and superhero comic books and stuff.
And I caught a quote from Stan Lee saying that was the case for like a lot of the ideas and just kind of like building on that as we're superheroes. And you get that for sure where they're like these guys that just come barreling into a situation and he knows everything.
He's like, I can do all of this.
Yeah,
I've tested everything.
My initial takeaway, Craig gave me 3. Unfortunately, I only got to read the first one, Bronze Man, which I guess is the first one, really.
The Man of Bronze. Gavin.
Yeah, Bronze Man.
Bronze Man. That's Doc
weird.
Savage.
Because they just like refer to him because he's all bronzy. Like he's like
just
good
tan.
tan.
Yeah, he's got like a really,
kind of
really good tan.
And they kept saying it, like especially early on. They're like, as his bronze hand reached up for the drink and put it to his bronze
giant
face.
wiener.
His giant bronze wiener. It's like, jeez.
It looked like a branch of bronze.
It's like, is this supposed to mean something? Is he like Colossus or whatever? Is he actually made of? But anyway, so yeah, I was like, I caught that it was like, it was weird because like a lot of it did stem like very James Bond, very Indiana Jones, very like all these people, Sherlock Holmes, all these. Like Batman, like the Adam West for sure, and that's the part where the book started to bug me a little. I still enjoyed reading it, but I was coasting through it, but it got very like. Also Vincent D'Onofrio in that era of Law and Order, where he's like, I can smell that the guns that were used were 2 shotgun barrels, where everything's just like a little too pasted, like quickly assumed. Doc walks into the room and he can tell like
he's like
the wind's blowing in one direction. He's already figured it out, but he lets his friends who
are also fantastic, awesome.
Yeah, he's got like a whole team of guys.
The super whatever
is like Johnny, Little John, Long Tom, Rennie.
Yeah, let's see. William Harper, Little John, Colonel John Renwick, Rennie, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Blodgett Mayfair, Monk.
Yeah, everybody has like 6 names with him.
Yeah,
but they call him Ham.
Yes, Major Thomas J. Roberts, Long Tom, and Brigadier General Theodore Marley Brooks.
Just rolls off the tongue.
Ham. Yes.
But yeah, and they all stick with him through the whole adventure. I was like, okay, so they got so many people that are going to kill all these people off.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone got killed off, right?
No, he had like this crew. I mean, towards the end of the books.
Did they kill them off?
No, I don't think anybody's killed off, but people just sort of, like, some of them just sort of fade out. Yeah. So it ends up being like just Ham and Monk are sort of like the ones who, because they have a rivalry and they're funny and they're opposites and stuff. Like, they end up being in the last Doc Savage stories, the ones that are still there, and the others are not dead, but they're not in every story.
Retired a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, it's a cool story. I mean, it's very action movie-esque.
Yes.
Where it's just like right from the start, they're just like bam, and they're in it. Like almost to the point where they build it up too much. Like that's always been my weird thing. Like I love like Star Wars shit and stuff, but I can't like read Star Wars novels. And like same thing with these when they're describing like And then we took the elevator up, and he wasn't there. Then we ran down the stairs. I was just like,
and then he was there.
It's just like stuff that would be like 5 seconds if they just filmed it in a movie, but it's like 30 pages. I'm like, what the fuck, you know? Like, more probably to the credit of like just wanting to make sure I read it all in time for this podcast. You know, I'm just like, God damn, what is happening? It's like all of the, like 40 pages. Like you just found some dude.
To misdirect.
They captured him, and then he jumps out the window, and it's like, what the fuck?
I love sort of the quick read, you know, dependability, fun of Doc Savage. Like that's what I enjoy about it. Like I know they were formulated. Like literally, Lester Dent once wrote an article or an outline for, if you want to write pulp novels, you know, start with an unusual death and go to an unusually named character. Yeah, you know, like it's like an outline of how to write these things, and he would just bang them out like as quick as can be.
Yeah,
you know. Yet,
did he write other shit? Did he have like a? Do you know like if he had like his opus?
I don't know that he did.
It's like there I was in the garden, like finally my story.
my real heart. Is
all this Doc Savage money
bullshit. Yeah, I don't know for sure what happened to him later on.
It is what it is. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely Doc Savage, man. That guy delivers. Like
he's the man of
every other chapter is just like everyone was amazed.
Doc was so virile. He saved
them from the Red Death. He, you know, created the potion that
he did. Yeah, he's good at everything.
He is. It's just like he is a superhero for sure, and it's just like
he has a Fortress of Solitude before Superman had a Fortress of Solitude.
I heard they stole the name, right?
Yeah.
That's a steal. You think?
I think I think at that time, I mean, how do you? No two people are going to be like, let's call it the Fortress of Solitude.
Do you think maybe it was a tribute? Like
I just think it was a borrow. They're just like, man, that's so cool. We could totally use that.
Shit.
Nobody's going to fucking... Yeah, at that time, they were like, nobody's going to sue us. It's cool.
There was a movie of the Man
and it was
Bronze.
terrible.
Did you see it? It looks horrible.
No, it's absolutely terrible.
Some like skinny little dude like running around. It looks like a...
Yes, I think there it is. Yeah, in this reprint of of the first episode.
So you did see it?
I've seen it. Yeah.
Do they stick to the storyline?
they kind of do. I think the guy who plays Doc Savage is named Eli something or other. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I think that.
Yeah. That sounds right.
But it's really, 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 really bad.
I love how they kept playing up he wouldn't like fall in love. Like women
babe.
Does that continue?
It does actually happen. It's like, I can't be seduced. And then, like, weirdly, later on in novels, he ends up having a cousin named Pat Savage, who's a girl, and who is, like, his physical, match and all. And it's like, so you have to get together with your cousin for it to... Like, what?
Identical cousins.
Yeah, so what's going on?
Yeah, the way they just kept dropping that he's like, you can't be with a woman.
You're just like...
It's like, well, what's he got? I mean...
It's like, whatever you're into, dude.
Yeah, it's okay.
That's right.
It's okay, Doc.
It's like, I just love these boys I went to war with and
just hang out with my crew. Yeah. Just like to hang out with my boys. Old, Long Tom.
He's a fan.
Totally. But I don't know. And you said there's rumors, or is it official? There's a movie.
There's supposedly going to be The Rock movie with Doc Savage. Yeah,
could be.
That's been on Twitter.
He's pretty bronze.
It's in. Yeah.
He's
enormous.
Like,
his head looks like a little tiny peanut on a muscle.
can't really say I'd want to see it, but I guess that's a nice fix.
I mean, if it
do you have an idea?
I would see it.
Yeah, would you be offended by something like that, or do you think?
Oh, I would totally go see it. It's probably horrible, but I watched the other Doc Savage movie, and it was horrible. So. And that's another movie I like. It's a guilty pleasure. Like it's a terrible movie.
Yeah, I kind of want to see it.
I would not recommend it to anybody, but the first place I ever lived that wasn't a dorm or my parents' house. I watched it with my roommate Chris, and we had a really good time watching it. It was terrible.
Nice. I'll have to track that down.
Yeah,
probably like one that would be on YouTube.
Oh, you would hope. Yeah, it's not worth renting for sure.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. It's definitely a world I hadn't dabbled in. So. I will probably not read another one, but
well, if you read one, you've read them all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I guess that leads us to the mix. Is that where we're at?
Yep.
Music.
Gavin's mix of guilty pleasures.
I think this is everyone's got their own guilty pleasure mix. Music is a very easily. I think it might have been the first cited thing in the dictionary definition of guilty pleasure. Of music.
Yeah.
Everybody's got this few albums, but like I said at the top of this, you can't really listen to like the whole album or something, I don't really have many. Do you have many like guilty pleasure albums?
No, but I've definitely listening to this like really kind of pulled me back to some guilty pleasure songs. Yeah, like Life is a High.
Terrible song.
It's horrible.
You just gotta listen to it though.
Or around the same time, what was that other song? Ooh, I wish I was your lover.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Damn,
I wish I was. It's terrible.
She's like wearing a diaper in the video.
Yeah,
not officially,
but like if you made out with somebody during that, at the time, like you're like
the daylight make you're smiling and warm.
You're like
smiling and warm.
Like, so you're peeing? What?
Damn.
But those are definite guilty pleasures for me.
And that's what I try to stick to. And a lot of these, I had one, like, since giving you this, I was like, I should retract that and replace it with something else. So I'll tell you maybe we'll just plow through the set list real quick. I'm not going to dwell on each one long enough, but like I thought it'd be fun to just, it was a 10-song mix, and we'll just kind of like maybe just like do a little volleyball.
Okay.
What do you think? Lead off track I had is
Arthur's theme, The Best That You Can Do,
from Mr. Christopher Cross.
Yeah. And he did surprisingly have other hits.
Yeah. He had some like super dubious award I found at one point where the year that his actual album came out, which I think was like his only fucking album, that he won, like, he's the only person apparently, which says so much for the Grammys too, so fuck the Grammys. Like if you aren't,
it's a totally legitimate award.
Yeah, like if you're not in the fuck the Grammys boat at this point, this should do it. Christopher Cross is the only person, I think he won like Best New Artist, Best Song, and Best Album of the Year. He's like the only person in like fucking history.
Yeah.
Even beating Milli Vanilli. like where he won like the fucking, what is that, like in baseball terms, the
Grand Slam?
Grand Slam, and triple Grand Slam of fucking all those awards. But like it was like sailing. And I forget what the other single was off that album, but it was all like,
he had another real big hit.
It's a big one, but then Arthur's theme went to the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore.
The best that you can do
is fall
in love
when you get caught between the moon and and I don't know why I didn't love the movie Arthur.
No, because it's not very good.
Yeah, I always love a drunk British person, but at the same time, I was a little boy. I didn't have any cinema, but when I hear that, it just brings me back to like my childhood or something.
And I know the movie, but there's something about this, actually the sound of it that where you're like, oh, I was a kid.
This is that night like that I didn't go to the dance and my brother did because I was still in elementary school or something. Something fucking weird happened, but and it just. But then as an adult listening to it, I love that it's like clearly a fucking song that Mr. Christopher Cross had And they're like, we need a song for Arthur. Because, like, the whole song's just a song, but then, like, the second verse, he's like, Arthur's tired, he's lonely, or something. And you can't really make out the words, but he just totally just drops some, like, Arthur bullshit, like, in the second verse.
Like, it was always about Arthur,
he's like, probably. He's just a boy that never stop getting drunk. Dude, when did you come to part of me just like makes me love it even more. And he's just like, oh fuck, they need a song. Shit. Alright, I'll give him the single off my next album. And then bam, he didn't have a single on his next album. That was the end of his career. But I love that.
But he did okay.
Yeah, it's a fucking hit. You know, he's probably living high on the hog.
That's followed up by Easy Lover with Phil Collins and a guest star appearance from Mr. Billy Ocean.
No.
Philip
Michael Bailey?
It's not
Philip Bailey. Did it say? Yeah, it's not Billy Ocean. He's later on this mix. But yeah, it's
I thought they were both Billy Ocean. Shut your face.
And if I wasn't on One Ball D, but I think it's Philip Bailey or something. He was in Earth, Wind, and Fire. I don't know if he was a founding member.
You should shut your face hole now.
Easy Lover.
Take your heart, but you won't feel it.
And Philip Bailey, if I'm getting his name right, does the high voice. And
really? That's not... Are you...
Not Billy Ocean. No, for sure.
Did you ever feel like it sounded like Billy Ocean?
I guess in my heart.
Really?
But no, yeah.
Wow, I think I really thought...
That broke.
You probably broke something in your house. Sorry.
It's all right.
Shit.
Bailey, though. Yeah, and the videos all over MTV. I remember as a kid, and as far as the guilty pleasure thing, like, you know, all Phil Collins is kind of a guilty pleasure, but they're fucking great songs. I feel like they're defendable. Like, even Against All Odds is great, and Into the Air in the Night and shit, and Susu Studio, all those. They're just good songs. They sold billions of copies. But Easy Lover, I think, might have been like just a random single or something. I don't know if that was even on any of his albums. And
maybe not.
Technically a horrible fucking song, but like
I am like just beside myself that is not Billy Ocean. Yeah. Wow.
And the video's great. They're all like just pretending like they give a fuck, and they're doing the rehearsal, and then it's so much coke that you're not seeing going on, and
this is so
the drums
great,
are kind of rad. I don't know if it's an official Phil Collins drum beat going on.
Oh, we know a guy named Mark who just loves a Phil Collins drum.
Really?
Oh yeah, Mark loves a Phil Collins. We should have him in for a Phil Collins episode.
I was thinking I wanted to reference Mark as being the potential next Doc Savage. I think he'd be a good Doc.
He would be a Doc. You get him a really severe tan.
So if you're listening, Mark,
that's a good looking dude.
Over this episode. But yeah, there's some like, is it love? Because they bump it up an octave at the end.
Yeah.
Like maybe 10 octaves on. Like, to break a heart, but you won't feel it. Fucking helicopters are coming in, and like there's like so much money just like fuck it everywhere. And I don't know why, but I loved that song as a kid, and like it just stuck. I love Easy Lover.
So Forever Your Girl,
#3.
I think if I were to choose a Paula Abdul song as a guilty pleasure, and I don't know that I would choose a Paula Abdul song, but if I had to choose one, it might be
respectable man would choose it.
I'd take 2 steps forwards.
Yeah, that one was the contender.
Opposite track.
To be honest, this whole album I loved to death, and this was like the most like.
Is that
ridiculous.
on the same album?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like this was like the 4th single, but title track because the whole album's called Forever Girl. But I mean, I felt like Straight Up and all those were like big hits, you know. Even the opposites of track.
Straight Up was good.
That time we gonna really go, really gonna love. Had Arsenio Hall in the video and shit.
Oh, Arsenio Hall is so sexy in that video.
I mean, people bought that album for that, but I was like, man, Forever Girl is horrible, but for something reason,
it's fucking great.
Maybe it's just like deep in your heart as a man. That's all you really want to. It's like, baby, go ahead, come on, just like as minimum as you need. It's just like I'm forever you good.
That money can buy.
Yeah, just like cheesy as fuck.
I love like whoever random like studio session dude was is like the other part of the song.
Girl, you know I love you. That's a part. Even his guilty pleasure side, that's the part that I'm like, that sucks. That's a horrible version. It's just like, you know, I will. We go do.
You're like, okay, that's too much.
It's a little too 90s or whatever the fuck, 80s.
Now,
80s.
okay, this is like 1B. 1A comes a little bit later of my objections to your Guilty Pleasures album. Bush Machine Head.
Yeah,
I had forgotten that Bush
into the dirty swamp.
Oh my god! Like I feel like you liking Bush is sort of like how I really like the Toadies.
Okay, yeah,
like
probably.
they're not good, or like the presidents of the United States of America. Like they're not good. The songs aren't.
Yeah, not the
good. There's no nuance. There's nothing you're like, oh no, but if you really listen, there's no nuance.
No, there's nothing. There's the lyrics are shit, music shit, the production saved just because it was like trying to be Nirvana.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Like as I listened through the 10 songs in this album, even more than others that you might assume I would really hate. I was like,
the one that
Bush just does not hold up. There was one other one, but. Like, but you're just
and
like,
that's why I ended up like, because I
God.
wasn't sure, because that whole album, their first one, of course, because there's no other album that was like even like who cares, but like even the first one, we made fun of it while we listened to it, even, but for some reason, like, because it was in the early days of us like playing music as a band and shit, and like we would play the songs as a joke. Like, we'd always just be like, fuck Bush, they're the worst.
Let's play.
I don't want to come back down from this. Yeah, and like, for some reason, they're like, just because they were kind of easy songs and they just rocked or whatever, but it was so fucking dumb. And like none of the lyrics make any sense.
Like, that song, I would never have guessed that the song is called Machine Head.
Yeah, got a machine head, better than bread.
Just like, or the rest. Something like, what are you saying? Yeah.
And I think I went with that one because of the sentimental attachment. Because I was just learning to play guitar and doing the down, get down, get down. I was like, yeah, and I felt like I nailed something, which also says something. Being like a fucking 18-year-old kid with a guitar, like I fucking nailed this song. Why is it a hit? I can do it.
I'm fucking incredible.
Like,
I'm Bush.
So, and I always felt that one was kind of
was sort of the thing that
was the Forever Your Girl
that song
of that album.
It really was,
because there was like 8 singles off that album, and I think Machine Head was the one that nobody cared about.
Is that the video where they're like, they've all got, like, he's got his guitar and there's like a bungee cord on
I think
the
that
guitar?
was Come Down, I think.
Oh,
yeah,
it is.
Yeah,
that's my most like specific Bush
yeah, they all have
memory.
like long
like
sleeve t-shirts on and they're bouncing around. Yeah, horrible album. It was just like,
it was terrible.
But that song, I mean, like Glycerine and that Alien song was like one that wasn't even
Glycerine is not terrible.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
I mean it's not great. But
all these are kind of like, oh, that song sucks. But then like, I took the perspective of like, if it came on, I wouldn't turn.
You're like,
I'm just like,
I'd be like, like
remember,
as I was listening to this,
Machine Head?
I hate it.
And then I'm just like, kind of killed time.
And you're like, kind of cool. Around.
Green to red. It's like you're just
like,
saying
what the fuck? It's just things that rhyme. I could do that.
Green to bread.
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 And sheds.
Yeah. It worked.
I mean, they didn't survive.
No.
So, I mean,
it's good to know that you can
obviously.
only stretch that so far.
Okay, so up next is something I think we've touched on, Harry Connick Jr.
Yeah, that was
past.
kind of my retraction, because he's a wonderfully talented man. It's a great song, but he's probably slightly frowned upon. And it's a subtle dig at trying to make this an all Harry Connick podcast.
That's right. If we could just
make this somehow an all Harry Connick Jr. podcast.
It is, like, I actually enjoy listening to this song. I also, in the 90s...
Recipe for Love.
Yes, Recipe for Love.
Yeah.
I also, in the 90s, like, I saw at least 3 Harry Connick shows. and paid to do so. Like, I enjoy some Harry Connick Jr. And this is like the best of Harry Connick
this is
Jr.
him.
Like,
Full
he's
throttle.
not like trying to be like pop or rock, or he's just doing what he does.
Originals, but in big band fashion.
Yes,
Fuck, you can't deny it.
And I just love. Like, it's lyrically ludicrous. Like,
it's just like shaka bucka bow and a doodly doo.
Yeah,
but
oh my god, he's like saying something. And, oh god, all I can think of is red light, blue light songs at the moment. But like,
this is the one he's just like, it's just he gives like a whole recipe. It's a recipe for
it's
making
like
love.
There's something about an elf in there.
Yeah, culinary
elf. Yeah, you're just like, what? It didn't come from magical and culinary elf.
No.
Well, I didn't think so, Harry, because that's not a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's gotta get some credit. Working that, fucking song, that's good, you know. And the show's still going. Apparently, he's still got his daytime.
He's got it. Yeah, he's still in it. We thought
he was done.
No, he's got like 3 or 4 daughters and a wife.
This is gonna be the year.
It's gonna be huge.
We can say we were there. We were supporters the whole way.
Okay, now explain to me the next track.
Oh yeah, I guess the title isn't there. 6 was "I Do" by Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians.
Just
weird album.
I actually really enjoyed the song, just as far as a song.
Yeah,
and I don't dislike her singing it, but.
Yeah, it's a ballad. It's a
Like she talks about, like filling in the blanks in your
negative space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know for some reason, and I think it's like a bonus track or something because it's not listed on the album.
I don't dislike it at all. I wouldn't call that a guilty pleasure. I think an Edie Brickell song is sort of esoteric enough for you to be like, look, I just like it.
Yeah, it was a weird one because they started out so big and everyone seemed to love that album, and then they just dropped off the face of the earth. They put out one like really shitty album after that, and she had like she married Paul Simon, and he's like, "You're not allowed to." He also
married Princess Leia.
Yeah, so there you go.
Fucked everything
up.
But
Edie Brickell, I just had like sentimental attachment listening to that album while drawing pictures at Jeff Butler's house. So
good old Jeff.
All these are like sentimental attachment, pretty much. Even Recipe for Love was like.
What were the pictures of? Were they of Jeff Butler's?
I was just drawing like Wolverine like humping a turtle or something. I remember he was like drawing like he was drawing the Calvin and Hobbes. What was that cat? That fucked up cat by the same artist? Maybe. It was like what was that scary fucked up cat?
Calvin and Hobbes guy?
Yeah,
Bill Watterson?
Yeah, he had like this jacked up Bill the Cat or something.
Oh, Bill the Cat's
Is
from
that a different dude? Maybe?
Yeah, it's from the Doonesbury dude.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, he was on the Bill the Cat. Is that his name? Bill the Cat? God damn.
What the fuck is wrong with Jeff?
I don't know. We can't find him either. If you're listening, Jeff, reach out.
Jeff, I've never met you, and I want you to come hang out at Gavin's house
for
a party. Like what is Jeff's name?
Jeff Butler.
Jeff Butler.
I know you're out there.
Son of a gun. What was the last thing you heard about Jeff? Was he a cop?
No, he's the other dude. Jeff Butler was in Atlanta. He had a kind of metal-y band.
What?
Called
Nard.
I have this. It's like,
Nard liquor.
Like nut chills or something.
Oh my god!
I had a CD, but I forget.
How did you grow up with so many people who ended up in bands?
He was the one that kicked it all off. He stopped hanging out with us, playing some guitar. We made fun because all we heard was learning Metallica and shit. You know? So he's probably shredding by this point.
Oh, he's freaking
if he's alive, he's probably fucking dead apparently. But if you're out there, Jeff, we love you.
I never met you and I love you. Please come to Asheville.
Tell us your Edie Brickell memories.
Look, I'll get drunk and pick you up, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, so song 7 on the Guilty Pleasure Mix, "Break of My Stride."
Breaking My Stride.
Breaking My Stride.
Matthew
by
Wilder.
Math Wilder.
Old Matty Wilder.
Yeah, I love this song.
I'm glad I'm not alone. But yeah, it's
Ain't nothing gonna break my stride.
Takes me back to when we had our first Walkman experience, where we bought Walkmans in the early '80s, and like we didn't. It wasn't even a tape Walkman; it was a radio Walkman. And all you could do is like pick up like fuzzy stations, and it would just be like Thriller and fucking Break My Stride for like maybe some like Eurythmics. I haven't done the fact checking to make sure, but I feel like all those like were kind of somewhat in the same bracket, and it was always like. Last night I had the strangest dream. I sailed away to China. And I always had this going back to the football theme that I don't know if it was used for like a Redskins highlight clips or what, but somehow I always had this song in my head every time I played backyard football, and I'd catch that kick-ass pass and I ran it in for a touchdown. I was like, ain't no one gonna break my stride, and I just sing it.
Ain't nothing gonna slow me down. That's just because you were a stud.
Got to keep on
moving.
Everyone's like,
oh my god, what is Matthew Wilder is not dead.
And he was not athletic.
And he was not athletic.
Finally seeing him once the video age appeared, and like he's just like, he looked like if you've ever seen the movie Bachelor Party with Tom Hanks. Yeah. Remember that little like mustache curly haired dude? That was totally Matthew Wilder.
That was. Oh my god, he's such a flaccid wiener of a dude.
He'd always just wear like weird spandex and like cut off sweatshirts.
And he was on solid gold. Like it was far enough back.
Yeah, there's some great clips. We'll post all this shit on the Facebook page.
Oh my god.
Yeah, damn.
I loved Solid Gold as a kid.
I love that song. So
okay, now so the next one is one that I have a little bit of an issue with.
Okay. This is more of a contemporary one.
Roar by Katy Perry.
Yeah.
I've never heard a Katy Perry song before, so far as I know.
I have.
So
really? This was your first Katy Perry?
I think so. I mean, it would not surprise me if Guynita was like, you've heard whatever. Yeah. And I'd be like, well, okay. But it's the only Katy Perry song I've ever heard and known it was a Katy Perry song. And
terrible.
Yeah, I think like the whole entire song is an excuse to get to
the roar.
Yeah, which is okay, like because I've listened to like you recorded this, you dubbed this, you whatever the fuck I'm trying to damn say this album, and I've listened to the whole thing over and over many times. And it's catchy. Like you can't listen to it and be like, oh, that's terrible. Because
I can't figure out why I don't turn it off when I hear it on like the radio or something. Like when it's even in like Ingalls or something, I'm just like, kind of glad.
It's terrible. Like lyrically, like they are stretching so hard just to get to the roar part.
A strong woman song.
Which is great. And I assume like part of her success is just that she's hot or something.
And maybe I'm just a sucker for a gloriously bosomed woman.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm just like, and I'm like, I don't know, but I feel like it's just like, I feel like it's just such a catchy melody.
Yeah, like that's something like, and they knew, like they're like, if we can just get him to the hook, like we can, because it doesn't fucking matter, because like they're just cramming words in there, like, and of course I can't remember, like there's one. Like politely, like so he's like drags it out really. Yeah, you're like that doesn't fucking fit. This doesn't work.
Hero.
Yes, and Hero. And there was like a Vanilla Ice movie where he was like, "You just ditch the zero and get with the hero."
Yeah, it's terrible, but. And like even like throwing I'm the Eye of the Tiger and shit, it's like that's already covered.
Yeah, like that's not new.
But I don't know. But yeah, I try to throw a contemporary one in there. That would just
okay. Now we're gonna move on to track number 9.
Last two. Here we go.
Gimme No Crack.
Yeah, this is
by Shinehead.
A slightly more obscure one following.
By slightly, he means incredibly more obscure.
Have you heard that before?
I've never heard it before. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, that's the one more than any other album. I was like, what in the fuck is this? It is like, it sounds like a PSA, except for it's way, way, way too long. And then when you really listen, you're like, I'm pretty sure he's saying like, look, smoke all the weed you want.
Just don't
do fucking crack. Which
message.
Is not a terrible PSA. No, it's a realistic one, but like it's not what you expect.
Don't come in on crack.
Yeah, it's fun. How do you know Shinehead?
My brother went through Owen went through a reggae phase.
It's never Marshall because he's a down to earth brother.
He's a reasonable dude. Owen went through a reggae phase, and then
did he have a lot of rainbow hats?
He had them.
Like poofy.
Yeah, he got some puffy hats, but not really.
Did he have dreads?
No. He's just a little skinny white kid. Looked like Tony Hawk. Somehow he got into reggae. Never even really got into weed. He never got into it at all. Like never even smoked weed as far as like, especially in this era. And like because they went to
you should come visit and be on a podcast.
Yeah, we'll have an all reggae theme.
An all Owen theme.
Yeah, all of Owen's themes.
Ooh, that would be great. You could have ferrets.
Reggae,
you could have reggae.
World War II classic country.
Dioramas.
It never ends. Model airplanes.
Oh my God, the Nationals. Bryce Harper.
Yeah, but
somebody.
He went through a reggae phase, man, and I heard the best and the worst of it, and somehow Shinehead just came out around that. And he was one of those dudes that kind of was starting to break through because of like the dance hall, I guess they called it, where it started to like incorporate more like rappy stuff, you know, and then like everyone kind of latched on this stupid Shaba shit or whatever.
Shaba!
Yeah, so that was like the dumbest version of it all. But like even Shinehead kind of had someone who was like, but then it would still just be kind of. But like this fucking song, that one line stays with me. I'm real cool. I chill to the max. I might act crazy, but I don't smoke crack. I mean, it just fucking, it's perfect. I chill to the max.
I feel like there's a part where he's like something like, I know my limits, and I'll just toke all the way up to those limits. However, I don't smoke crack.
Smoke crack, man. I get okay. Don't smoke crack. He's like, don't give me no crack. Love it. I don't know why.
Oh my God! Like that is the one more than any other album. I was like,
where did this
come from? Fuck.
And again, sentimental attachment.
You are like the one only people who are Connors and Connor brothers are like, oh, I know Shinehead.
Yeah, he's fucking great, man.
Yeah,
late 80s, 90s.
And then we wrap up with Caribbean Queen, No More Love on the Run by Billy Ocean. Not the person who was the backup singer on Easy Lover.
And as I like to call it, Caribbean Queen.
Oh, God. Like,
even though he says it, call me.
Yeah, as a kid, I can distinctly remember thinking, I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
Yeah.
Carry me, Queen. Or
you see, you don't have to pay royalties if we just sing all that.
And a heart can't last one.
And this started out as a song that we openly hated, or just thought it was stupid, or whatever. It was just a song you grew up with, you know. But the sad story with this one was that around late 90s, we had a friend that worked at the Pop, which is the equivalent here in Nashville, the River, you know, like the top 40 radio station in a sense. And he's a friend of Marshall, our oldest brother, and our friend too, in a sense. But he did DJ in late night at the B 101.5, which I later got a job at myself.
You did.
And he had we had come up with some code like where we could request our own song or something, or I guess he just, because he did like such a long shift, it was like, I don't know what the hell the reasoning was in hindsight, but we would call him up and request Caribbean Queen, and then he would be like, all right, so he'd play just so we would know, he'd play Caribbean Queen and then play our band song at like 2 a.m. or something after that.
Yes!
And it got to the point where it was just like such a running joke because we were just a bunch of dumb kids that were all drunk and shit. We're like, you're Caribbean Queen, man! We're like, alright, this is for those guys out there that want to hear Caribbean Queen. And little Billy Ocean was like, pulling the same train. Right after that, it'd go into like some crappy 90s rock, you know, that way, like. But it was always like, but it eventually got to the point where we did it so many times that we were like, we kind of just wanted to hear Caribbean Queen.
Like, I don't want to hear our fucking song.
Whatever. It just became more of like a cool band ritual to like get drunk and listen to Caribbean Queen, you know? It's like, the song's so good.
This is way better than our song. On the road. So, and it is a good song. Like I support. I think if I were to criticize any song, it would definitely Shinehead.
Shinehead would be.
It's
more than Bush even.
Yes, and Bush is a close-ish second.
Yeah.
But I can kind of like get into Bush and like shaking your guitars with like a bungee cord on the end or whatever the fuck you're doing in the video. But God, like, is Shinehead just like strictly sort of like DC or like
it's a regional thing.
Like it just
it's a regional favorite. Yeah.
Terrible.
I guess having that reggae influence as a young boy, having a brother.
That was one of the things.
Part Jamaican.
That's right. Like we've mentioned on this podcast before, like Gavin writes and records his own music, so that's nothing new. But like listening to something like this, it's like 10 songs, and I think these are somehow formative.
Yeah, all these like shit.
And like a couple of like some of them, like okay, I can get even something like Arthur's theme. Like none of your music sounds like Arthur's theme.
Thank God.
But
I'd have 3 Grammys.
Yeah, that's right. I don't want that. Success would just be horrible.
Here's the problem.
But you know, like then there's other ones that I'm just like fucking Machine Head. Like really?
That's where I get my edge from.
Got a machine head.
Yeah, I mean, and there's so many. Like in hindsight, I wanted to scratch Harry Connick because I figure he's credible. Talented dude, like
He's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't really need to feel guilty leaving listening to that. I wanted to replace that actually with "Until I Hear From You" by the Gin Blossoms.
Oh,
because that song's dumb too. But like, I don't know. As soon as I hear it, it's like, thinking about not living without it. It's just like fucking Empire Records, the whole package, man.
Yeah,
like, shit, that's a beautiful song.
Guy Nina's got some
any Gin Blossoms.
Yeah, Gin Blossoms. She likes Gin Blossoms, or what is it? That other one, Matchbox 20.
Yeah, I can't go there. I can't go.
You love them. Everybody loves them.
But that was just my snobbery factor. I think that's a whole other episode.
What's the Matchbox 20 song?
I'll push you around.
Yeah,
I will.
I will. Yeah.
I got some deep hatred for Matchbox 20.
We still have like some Matchbox 20 on cassette tape.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shit, they're making cassettes then?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, they're making cassettes.
That's a weird cutoff. Like VHS and cassette. When did that stop? They're just like, this has got to stop.
This is terrible. Just you can't do this anymore.
But shit. Well, I guess that brings us all to the...
That's it.
So, we will post all this stuff for you guys to examine, and hopefully you can tell us, does this make your guilty pleasures?
Yeah, so and what are your guilty pleasures?
Yeah, I want to hear it. Everybody's got your own, and with your stories, and like I said, like to me, it's surprised. Like doing this, I never realized how like much it was sentimental attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And
I guess definitely
you had more than I'd realized. Maybe other than like Doc Savage, even like you had some good sentimental attachments.
Yeah, I definitely do.
So maybe that's the root of every guilty pleasure. It's just
the root of every guilty pleasure is a good time and sentiment.
There you go.
That's probably a t-shirt.
It should be. You can find it in our merch store now.
Yes, exactly.
Or not yet, but it will be.
Soon and one day
in onesies.
In onesies, yes.
Cool. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. Find us on the Facebook page and Instagram too. Yeah. And the Pretend Podcast is waiting for you. And thanks for listening. Until next time, we'll have another great theme for you. Join us in the debauchery.
It'd be fantastic.
Signing off. We say, which one of these songs is the best signing off?
How about a little Caribbean Queen?
Caribbean Queen, on the street in the sand green, and the harvey should have been a Michael McDonald song.
It should. Oh my God. Oh, that would be a great Michael McDonald song.
Maybe at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame they'll do
That's true. Oh my God. I actually I can't sing, but every once in a while I can channel a really good Michael McDonald. Yeah, we're just like sucking in the whole time.
So go imagine that, listener. Good night. Thank you for listening.
And thank you. Yeah.
Be sure to go on over to iTunes and subscribe to the Pretend Podcast. You don't want to miss any upcoming episodes, do you? No. There you can rate us and review us too, so you can feel all high and mighty about yourself while making sure you don't miss anything. So everybody wins. And then go over to Instagram and follow the Pretend Podcast over there, where you can see all kinds of extra stuff. And of course the Facebook page, where all the threads for individual episodes are posted, and you can see clips of what we're talking about, audio, visual, all kinds of stuff. So Facebook page, don't miss out on that one. And if you'd like to drop us a line, a thought for an idea, a theme, or something that you want to contribute to the show, the pretendpodcast@gmail.com is where you can do that. And of course, thanks to Ryan Cox /If You Want Us for the title music. It's a song called Pop Tarts and Fleas. The band doesn't exist anymore, but Ryan Cox very much does. And in fact, he will be our guest on the upcoming episode where we talk comedy. So stay tuned and see you next time on the Pretend Podcast.